You owe us $500,000 for raising you, and we have every receipt to prove it. My mother thrust a leather-bound folder across the restaurant table, her perfectly manicured nails tapping impatiently on the itemized bill. But why did my accountant's face go white when she saw the dates, and what secret about my childhood were my parents so desperate to hide? My name is Jessica Lynn, and I'm a 28-year-old financial analyst who thought she understood numbers until the day my parents presented me with a bill for my own existence. I should have known something was wrong when they insisted on meeting at La Bernardin, their favorite expensive restaurant where they believed public settings prevented unseemly emotional displays. Every penny, Jessica, my father, Dr. William Lynn, said in his surgical precise voice. From the hospital bills when you were born to your college tuition, it's all here. Itemized, categorized, adjusted for inflation. I stared at the bound document, its professional presentation suggesting they'd spent considerable time preparing this ambush. Inside, spreadsheets detailed everything from diaper costs in 1995 to my high school prom dress in 2012. This is a joke, right? I asked, though their stern faces suggested otherwise. We invested in you, my mother Catherine said coolly. Now that you're successful, it's only fair you repay that investment. Consider it a loan that's come due. I flipped through the pages, my disbelief growing with each line item. Birthday party, age 5, $847. Soccer camp, summer 2003, $1,200. Emotional labor for teenager phase, $50,000. Emotional labor? I sputtered. Do you have any idea how difficult you were at 15? My mother sniffed. I had to cancel 3 charity galas because of your moods. The total came to $497,832.41, rounded up to an even $500,000 for processing fees. You have 30 days, my father said, sliding over another document. We've consulted our lawyer. Since you're gainfully employed at Morrison & Associates, we expect you can arrange financing. I left that lunch in a daze, the folder weighing heavier than its physical mass. My parents had always been particular. Cold, perhaps, but I'd attributed that to their high-powered careers. Now they were literally billing me for being their daughter. That evening, I called my best friend, Aisha, who also happened to be a CPA. They did WKHAT. She shrieked over the phone. Jess, that's insane. Legally, parents can't sue children for raising costs. It's called parental duty of care. Can you look at it anyway? I asked. Maybe point out how ridiculous this is with actual accounting principles. Send it over. I'll destroy their argument with GAAP standards alone. I scanned and sent the documents, then tried to focus on my actual job. But questions nagged at me. Why now? My parents weren't struggling financially. My father was chief of surgery at Presbyterian, and my mother ran a successful consulting firm. They lived in a $3 million brownstone and vacationed in the Maldives. 2 days later, Aisha called me, her voice strange. Jess, can you come to my office? And bring any documents you have from your childhood. Birth certificate, medical records, anything. Why? What's wrong? Just, trust me, this is important. I gathered what documents I had. Surprisingly few, I realized, and met Aisha at her firm after hours. She had my parents' folder spread across her conference table, covered in sticky notes and red marks. Okay, first things first, she began, pulling up a chair. Your parents' math is wrong in several places. They've double charged for items, inflated costs, and included things that are legally gifts, not loans. So I don't owe them money. You don't owe them anything, but Jess. She pulled out several pages, highlighting dates. Look at these entries from 1997 to 1999. I scanned the items. Food and clothing, $800/month. Housing allocation, $1,000, $200/month. Medical expenses, $400/month. Okay. Baby stuff is expensive. Jess, you were 2 to 4 years old. These aren't baby expenses. But here's the weird part. Look at May 1998 to October 1998. The entries shifted. Storage unit for belongings, $150/month. Preparation for return, $500/month. Legal consultations, $2,000. My blood ran cold. Aisha, what are you saying? She pulled out her laptop, fingers flying over the keyboard. I did some digging. Public records are amazing things. Jessica, were you adopted? No. I have photos of my mother pregnant, of them bringing me home from the hospital. Do you have your birth certificate? Not a copy they gave you, but one you got yourself from the county? I realized I didn't. Every official document I'd ever needed, my parents had provided. My passport application, college enrollment, even my employment paperwork. They'd always handled it, saying they had the originals in their safe. We need to check something, Aisha said grimly. The next day, I went to the Department of Health, requesting my birth certificate. The clerk typed in my information, frowned, typed again. I'm not finding anyone with that name and date of birth, she said. Are you sure about the spelling? Try variations, I said, my heart pounding. Nothing. According to New York State records, Jessica Lynn, daughter of William and Catherine Lynn, didn't exist. Could it be sealed? I asked desperately. Sealed records still show up in our system, just marked restricted. This is nothing. I left with hands shaking, calling Aisha immediately. We need a lawyer, she said, and a private investigator. Jess, I think your parents have been lying to you your entire life. I hired both that week, using my savings I'd earmarked for a house down payment. The PI, a former cop named Marcus Torres, took my case with particular interest. Missing childhood records, parents suddenly demanding repayment, no official birth documentation. I've seen this pattern before, he said, usually in illegal adoption cases. But they have photos. Photos can be staged, purchased, or manipulated. What we need is DNA evidence and document trails. While Marcus investigated, my lawyer, Sandra Kim, sent my parents a formal response to their demand, requesting documentation to support their claims. Their reaction was immediate and violent. How dare you bring lawyers into a family matter? My mother screamed over the phone. We gave you everything. Then you should have no problem providing documentation, I replied, my voice steadier than my hands. You ungrateful. The line went dead. They didn't contact me for a week. Then Marcus called with his first findings. Your parents' financial records show large payments to a family services consultant from 1995 to 1997. The company doesn't exist anymore, but I tracked down the owner. Dr. Monica Reeves. She lost her license in 2001. For what? Facilitating illegal adoptions. She would forge documents, create false birth certificates, and coach adoptive parents on creating believable backstories. The floor seemed to tilt. But the pregnancy photos. I found something else. Your mother was a patient at Reproductive Health Associates in 1994. They specialized in fertility treatments. She underwent multiple IVF cycles, all unsuccessful. The pieces clicked together with horrible clarity. The emotional distance. The itemized bill starting from birth, like a business transaction. The way they'd always called my successes return on investment. There's more, Marcus continued. Those charges from May to October 1998, foster care records show a Jessica Chen, age 3, was placed in emergency foster care during those exact months before being reunited with biological parents. Jessica Chen, not Lynn. The foster family's name was Bradley. They live in Connecticut now. They remember you, Jess. They said you were removed from your home for neglect, then suddenly returned to different parents who claimed there'd been a mix-up with names. I sank into my chair. My entire life, built on lies. Sandra called the next day. Your parents' lawyer sent over their supporting documentation. Jessica, half these receipts are fabricated. The hospital listed for your birth. It closed in 1993, 2 years before you were supposedly born there. What do? We confront them. With everything. The meeting was scheduled at Sandra's law office. My parents arrived in their power suits, their own lawyer in tow. They didn't know about Marcus's investigation yet. This is ridiculous, my father began. We're her parents. We have every right to request repayment for our investment. Actually, Sandra said calmly, let's discuss what rights you have. Mr. Torres? Marcus entered with a box of evidence. My parents' faces shifted from annoyance to alarm. Dr. and Mrs. Lynn, he began, spreading documents across the table. Would you like to explain why Jessica's birth certificate is forged? Or why you are making payments to a woman convicted of illegal adoption fraud? Or perhaps why foster care records show a Jessica Chen being placed with you in 1998 after her biological parents lost custody? My mother's perfectly composed face cracked. You don't understand. Then explain it, I said, my voice stronger than I felt. Explain why you bought a child, forged her identity, and then tried to bill her for it. The silence stretched until my father broke. We couldn't have children. The IVF failed 9 times. 9 times, Jessica. Do you know what that does to a person? So you bought someone else's child? We saved you, my mother burst out. Your biological parents were drug addicts. You were 3, malnourished, barely speaking. We gave you everything. And kept a receipt for each item, I shot back. We thought if we accounted for everything, it would make it real. Make you really ours, my father admitted. The documentation was our way of proving we were good parents. Good parents don't demand repayment for raising their children. We were scared. My mother's composure finally shattered completely. You're successful now. What if you found out and left us? At least if you owed us money, you'd have to stay in contact. The twisted logic of it made my head spin. They'd been so terrified of losing me that they guaranteed it. Sandra leaned forward. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to drop this ridiculous lawsuit. You're going to provide Jessica with all documentation about her biological family and adoption, and you're going to pay for the therapy she'll need to process your lies. Or, their lawyer asked, or we report the forged documents to the FBI. Kidnapping, fraud, identity theft. Should I continue? My parents crumbled. Over the next hour, the truth emerged in pieces. They'd paid Dr. Reeves $50,000 to falsify an adoption. When I was removed from my biological parents for neglect and placed in foster care at age 3, they'd swooped in, claiming to be relatives. More money changed hands. Documents were forged. Jessica Chen became Jessica Lin, complete with a fabricated history. We gave you a good life, my mother whispered. Best schools, best opportunities. You gave me a lie, I replied. Every birthday, every celebration, every I love you, all of it built on deception. Marcus had one final revelation. Your biological parents, Jess, they're alive. They got clean, trying to find you. But the trail went cold at the foster system. My heart stopped. They looked for me. For years. They're in New Jersey now. They run a restaurant. They have 2 other daughters, your sisters. Sisters. The word felt foreign. As my parents, the people who raised me, sat in their expensive suits in that sterile law office, I made my decision. I want to meet them, my biological family. Jessica, please, William. I couldn't think of him as dad anymore. Pleaded. We're your parents. We raised you. Yes. And then you tried to charge me for it. Every scraped knee, every school lunch, every hug goodnight. All itemized on a spreadsheet. That's not love. That's a business transaction. I stood to leave, then turned back. You know what the ironic part is? If you just told me the truth, if you'd admitted you adopted me out of love and desperation instead of this, I would have understood. I would have been grateful. But you were so afraid of losing control that you lost me instead. I met my biological parents the following month. Linda and David Chen cried when they saw me, recognizing features they'd last seen in their toddler. They showed me photos of the daughter they'd lost, the years they'd spent in recovery hoping to find me again. We know we failed you once, Linda said, clutching my hands. But we never stopped loving you. Never stopped looking. My sisters, Amy and Grace, were curious but welcoming. They'd grown up knowing they had an older sister somewhere, their parents' lost daughter who they prayed for every night. It wasn't instant family. Too much time had passed for that. But it was honest, real, without receipts attached. The Lins tried to contact me several times. Emails about how much they'd invested in my success, how I owed them for the life I lived. I had Sandra send a final message. Parents don't keep receipts. Love isn't a loan, and family isn't a business venture. I kept the itemized bill they'd given me. Sometimes I look at it, all those entries reducing my childhood to dollar signs. It reminds me that love isn't measured in money spent but in truth given. The Lins gave me everything money could buy but charged me for each penny. The Chens gave me away but never stopped bearing the cost in their hearts. I'm still Jessica Lin legally. Changing it would be too complicated now. But I'm learning what it means to be a Chen too. To be part of a family that doesn't keep receipts, that measures love in presence, not payments. The $500,000 bill. I had it framed. It hangs in my apartment as a reminder. Some debts can't be calculated, some investments can't be itemized, and real love never comes with a price tag. The Lins were right about one thing. They gave me everything. Everything except the one thing that actually mattered. The truth. That I had to buy for myself, and it was worth every penny.